All right, guys. We're on the way to do an alternator. Customer of mine messaged me this morning. Said he wanted his alternator replaced. We don't have much going on today. I had planned to just go drop off some heads at the machine shop and just go and grab some other parts for other appointments that I have in the next following night. Yeah, Monday's pretty slow. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is usually pretty slow. That's usually the days that I like to schedule my appointments. But yeah, today all we got that alternator, and then after that, if I get done, there's no other calls, probably get those cylinder heads, take them up there. It's a good drive to go take those to the machine shop. Anyways, we'll jump on this alternator and see what happens. Alright guys, first we're gonna disconnect this negative cable from the battery since we're gonna be taking this alternator apart. Take this air breather tube off. Probably in the 30s this morning. It's pretty cold for us here. I like to use take off everything by hand. I like to use impact as least as possible to avoid any breaking of just to avoid any fingers, guys. Out of the way. Now we gotta take this brace off. Shit. The main bolts holding the alternator to the motor, to the block. The alternator just slips out, so you just gotta loosen them. That way you're not dealing with having to find the holes for those bolts to go back on. All right. Top brace on it. Make sure everything, all the bolts line up before you tighten everything, just to make it easier on yourself.
like to go back and just make sure that they're nice and tight. You can never trust your impacts, especially if they are battery operated. Battery gets slow and they start putting out less torque, you know. So you could be leaving them bolts loose, like this one right here. That. You can route it around all the other pulleys and just leave the alternator pulley off. That way you can work the tensioner and then hook it back on the alternator. Get a little bit more. Cranking power. There it went, guys. Yep, everything looks good. Now I can hook these wires back up. Hit that guy. There it goes. Remember guys, the smaller the bolt or nut, the less torque it needs. You don't need to be snapping things. There's much better. Okay guys, now we can go ahead and connect the negative pad. Alright guys, so that alternator seems to be charging perfect. Battery luckily is still good. A lot of times when those alternators go out, people keep driving it until it dies, and that's just, you're just draining that battery and killing it, because batteries are not meant to be used that way. You know, it needs that alternator to keep charging it. When you're driving, that alternator is the one that's putting out all that energy. But when the alternator gives out, it's just working off that battery, and that batteries are not meant to work that way. They're only meant to help you start the car and stuff like that. So luckily his battery's still in good shape. He just called me or messaged me in the morning, real early actually, and then he just said, hey, I need an alternator and a serpentine belt, and I need it done as soon as possible. So luckily I didn't have anything else going on, so I could come out here first thing in the morning and get him taken care of. Most of the time I don't like when customers just call and say, hey, I need this, without me checking it out first. But then there is some customers that you can trust with that. You know, they have pretty good knowledge, and 9 times out of 10 they'll get it right. But I have had issues in the past where customers ask for a certain thing and I put it on there because they don't want to pay a diagnostic fee, and it happens not to be that. It happens not to fix their issue. Now they're mad at me for listening to them of replacing the part that they wanted replaced without getting a diagnostic. So that's the reason why I don't like when customers just call me that way. But some customers they're just real good about diagnosing their own vehicles, and they just don't have the time to do it or the tools to do it, and so they call me. And you know, when it's those cases where they just call you and say, hey, I need this done, and you trust that they know what they're talking about, it's pretty cool because you get to save them a little bit of money, and at the same time you don't lose as much time diagnosing, and you can just get in and out and go on to the next one. But yeah, 9 times out of 10 when they do call me that way, I let them know that there's no warranty, and a lot of times I ask them to pay me ahead of time before I do anything, because like I said before, I've had issues, just one issue actually, but I learned from it, where customer asked me to do something, I did it, it didn't fix their issue, and they ended up not paying me. Luckily he had bought the parts, so I just lost on about $400 labor. But you live and you learn, and like I said, this guy, I don't really know what the issue was. I didn't even ask him because he works night shift. I didn't want to be bothering him this early. He's probably taking sleeping right now. But everything seems to be working fine. I'm gonna go back out before we head out and double check that alternator is still charging like it should, and then just leave him the key where he left it for me, and then we go from there.